What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic and excellent spirits. Here on a Wednesday, the final Wednesday. Why does this look crooked to me? Is my camera looking off to you guys and gals? I know you're probably wondering, Jay Reels, where are you? Are you in a closet? Are you in a dungeon? Blink twice if I need help. No, nothing like that. I'm just off to the side here from the sports desk, and I'm getting ready to launch the final live stream of the month. Psych. As we bring up the date here in time, here it is. August 26th in the year of our Lord 2026. Glad to have you hop on board as we chop it up about what's happening in sports. And again, don't mind the backdrop. Just today, I'm sitting off to the side here. But I will say this. You know how grateful, thankful I am of all of you who hop on board, participate. I'll get to the comments in a moment. And how much I truly appreciate you all. But it's interesting because I did have a moment of gratitude prior to kicking off this live stream. And even though I'm sitting in what looks like a dimly lit room, I do have the ring light in front of me. And although it looks like I'm in some back room or maybe some warehouse where I was able to get a corner, well, you know what? I'm still grateful to even have this. But I have to say that as much as I try to manifest and the universe, I know the universe is watching, and I'm not trying to say this to vent or to tell the universe like, hey, let's get cracking, because the universe is going to, with its timing and its delivery, kind of when I least expect it, which I totally understand. But as I sit here with a laptop in front of me, this microphone connected to an audio interface, wires across everywhere, my camera, etc., this just gives me even more incentive, more inspiration, more motivation that one day, someday, I'll have my own studio where I'll be hosting my live streams and not have to worry about having to set this all up last minute or having to set this all up where it's kind of like scotch tape and bubble gum. And again, I'm grateful. And even if I was just doing this from my phone with a cheap microphone, I would still do it. But it's about bigger, better, getting to that point. And you guys know you've been on this journey with me, and I appreciate you all. As I've said a zillion times, I'm going to say a zillion times more. So I just had to put that out there for starters before I begin. All right, comments. I see Val, of course. Obviously, bio. Greetings. Val saying hello. Giants did win yesterday. Yes, good for them. And the Mets did win. Yes, they did. Ecstatic about that, even though we all know that I'll speak for my team, going nowhere fast. But, hey, they play out the string. Spoiler, hey, they beat the Brewers last night. Got a gift at the end with the error. Play at the plate, but that's fine. And now we have a situation where, hold on a second. All right, now we have a situation where baseball is not going to be front and center here on today's live stream. In fact, look at this. Yes, they did beat former. Well, as a matter of fact, Waffle Line, a.k.a. Fuku Johnson, Tatsuya Imai, Minnesota Fats, Kai Bowie Bull, Dash Chips, Everyday Mets, Jonathan Sean Cup, you already know. But Kyle Harrison started the game yesterday. Who got the loss? I think it was Trevor McGill, the brother of Tyler McGill. Cheers, H2O. So, yeah, let's get cracking. I'm not even going to start off with baseball. In fact, baseball is not even going to be front and center when you think about it. But here we are, 2 weeks from today. The NFL season will officially begin. And I get it. We have plenty of time to even get through all this. And 2 weeks from today will be my NFL preview, which I won't be redundant in going through the one word or one sentence, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through all the divisions, preview the teams, give you all the predictions, over-unders. In fact, next Wednesday, I'll go through over-unders with you. And not that I'm going to choose them, but I'll just go through them, and maybe I'll tip my hand to a couple. when we get to that point. But with the NFL season on the horizon and the final preseason games tomorrow, I believe into the weekend, I think Saturday is a couple of games. I think Jets Giants is one of them. And for people who are getting ready to embark on that 22, 23 week journey where football is going to rule the roost, and understandably, rightfully so. We know how big football is in this country. And what we look forward to, what we expect, what we hope for, what we will analyze, digest, regurgitate, and even with the teams that are bad. But right now is a time to kind of give you an overview, just in one word or even in a sentence for that matter, as to the 32 teams in strictly that. And I'll get to all the comments after I go through the NFL stuff. And for those who are jumping on board, I appreciate you guys and gals. Yes, I'm in my apartment, off to the side, not at the sports desk. That's quite all right, but I just hope that I'm coming through loud and clear and that you're with me throughout. And one more time, I appreciate you all. So yes, as you see at the bottom, 32 teams in one sentence. And I'm going to go AFC East all the way to the NFC West and just give you a little bit of an overview because, again, when we get to the NFL preview, which is in 2 weeks, then I'll really dissect and get into certain teams and things of that nature when it comes to what we will forecast or what I will forecast for this upcoming season. All right. AFC East, Buffalo Bills. I won't say if not now, when, but you got to ask, when? When will this team get over a hump? New stadium, same quarterback, new coach, Joe Brady. When? That, I think, is the question in Buffalo, considering that they haven't come that close. Yeah, a couple of AFC championship games. We know how that's gone. And obviously the close calls there. You want to look at Denver last year. You want to look at even the divisional game in Kansas City, 13 seconds left with a 3-point lead. They split the bit there under Sean McDermott, the former coach. But to me, that's the, I guess, when with a question mark. Is it going to be this year? Is it going to be next year? Josh Allen, I believe, is 29. He's going to approach 30 soon. And you want to have him at the peak of his powers. You don't want it to be a Bronco situation with Peyton Manning on with a noodle arm. And listen, I'm sure if you're a Bill fan, you would take that in a heartbeat, that if Josh Allen is 37, 38 years old, has not won a Super Bowl, and he can't throw 5 yards, but somehow, some way wins a Super Bowl, you'll definitely take it. And considering if he hasn't won a Super Bowl up until that point. But I get it. You don't want to wait till then. You want it to be now. But that is the question. When? Is it this year? Next? But we shall see. Obviously, we can only worry about this coming year. Dolphins. Arguably the worst team in the sport. And we get Malik Willis, who had some spurts there last year of a guy that looks like he could play in the league. But it's a no-name team. They've traded everybody. No Tyreek Hill with the injury. He's gone. Jalen Waddle got traded. Minka Fitzpatrick got traded. Listen, it's a mishmash. And with the new coach there, formerly of the Packers, was it Joe Hafley's name? It's not even rebuilding mode. It's pretty much from ground zero up. That's what I can tell you about the Dolphins. New England. Can't say it's going to be a sophomore slump because this is going to be the third year for Drake May, but considering he rose to prominence as far as the NFL quarterbacks go and was the MVP runner-up, what do they do for an encore? To me, that is the question. And with a harder schedule, unlike last year where they had the easiest schedule, what do they do for an encore? We know about the head coach, and I'm sure not a lot has been discussed about that scenario with Diana Rossini, and I get it, that's months ago. But to me, how this team is going to perform, was last year a fluke? Or is this going to be a year where they're going to be competing there in the AFC, not only just to get to a Super Bowl, but as one of the top 2 or 3 seeds in the conference? The New York Jets. Now, this one I've thought about long and hard because you could go either way with this team. It's either they're still building, there has to be significant improvement, but I'm going to say this, they're still building. And this is a critical year. You know what? I'll even go with that. It's critical, and it's twofold. One, the coach, Aaron Glenn. I wouldn't just, unless they're 1-16 or 3-14, I think this team needs to have a significant progress. Maybe that's the word, progress. I don't want to say it's critical because it's not like this team's going to go to the playoffs, and if they don't, there needs to be progression. Aaron Glenn needs to show that he has the team locked in, prepared, ready to go, and not even just for the first month, the first 2 months, all season. Because last year, toward the last whatever it was, 5 or 6 games, they were putrid. They were awful. And I think if he really wants to keep his job, and for Woody Johnson to know that next year he has 3 number 1 picks where they could package for a quarterback, or they'll be able to draft one. As you know, the quarterback draft class is loaded. So to me, progression. What does that mean, though? Does that mean to go from 3 or 4 wins to 5, 6 wins? I think if they were to double their wins, and what were they, 3-14 last year? So if they go 6 wins, that's progress. You doubled your win total. And I think if you're a Jet fan, although the schedule's tricky, that's what you want to see. You need to see progress. And I guess that's the better question than critical or anything like that. AFC North. Ravens. You could pretty much put the same question to them as for the Buffalo Bills. But I would think it's more so, if not now, because of the way that team is structured. I understand a new coach, Jesse Minter, but with Lamar Jackson, who's 29 years of age, he's won the 2 MVPs. You could actually say this has to be their year. And it's not to say that next year, the year after isn't, or what have you. But we don't know the head coach. We don't know what type of identity this team's going to have. He's a defensive-minded coach. Are they going to try to go back to the old Ravens physicality and be that type of team that's going to be a swarming, intimidating type defense with an offense that's certainly going to complement that? And we know that the guys on the team, other than maybe Kyle Hamilton and a couple other players, but this is a veteran team. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. I mean, think about it. Lamar Jackson right now is in his 9th year, or going into his 9th year. And how I see it is that this team has had Super Bowl aspirations for quite some time. And yes, you could put them in the same boat as the Buffalo Bills, and if not now, when. I feel for Allen it's a little bit more, because granted that Jackson has the 2 MVPs and Allen just has the 1, but it's a situation where Buffalo Bills, with the 4 Super Bowls in the 90s that they made it to and lost, and with all the promise and all of the talk over the last few years about Bills Mafia, when we're going to get to the Super Bowl, and even though the same could be said in Baltimore with the way Lamar Jackson's played, but I really truly think that this team has to have not just win now, they need to win right this second, immediately, if not sooner. And I think that's going to be the mantra there, but it's all going to be predicated on what the head coach is going to not just necessarily do, but what he's going to do as far as having his fingerprints on his team to make it his team. Because remember, this is still John Harbaugh's team. And even if they win, people are going to say, well, Mitchell did it with Harbaugh's guys. And that's legit. But I think and you know what? Maybe the word that I was going to pass for the Jets, hand it off to the Ravens, it's critical. They need to get to a Super Bowl. That's all there is to it in my eyes. They certainly need to. Bengals. To me, the Bengals, this is a bullseye on Joe Burrow. And I don't want to put it all on him, because their defense, as we all know, very sketchy. And they're going to have to average a ton of points in order for them to really be competitive. But I think for them, for the Bengals, they need to make the playoffs. So there needs to be significant improvement. And maybe that's the sentence. There needs to be significant improvement in order for us to believe that the Bengals can be a serious threat, not a Super Bowl threat. Because if Burrow's on the shelf, as he has been over these last few years, and if he's not going to be able to play consistently and play the course of a 17-game season, then what are we talking about here? What are we looking at? I mean, is this going to be another thing where, you have another former number 1 pick who, for whatever the reason, can't stay healthy and can't deliver his team to the promised land? That Super Bowl against the Rams is going on 5 years. And 5 years is an eternity in the NFL, and especially with a team like the Bengals, who does not have that success year in, year out. Kansas City can afford a year off, as they did last year, and even though Mahomes got hurt late, as we know. So how I look at it is that, yeah, there needs to be that improvement for them to be in the mix in the AFC, especially when you get to late December into January and hopefully go on a run. Because with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and that offense, there's no way that they should be out of the postseason. I get it, their defense. No Trey Hendrickson. He's now in Baltimore, but still. Oh,
The lost one.
oh, really? Where was it?
Under the bed, she pulled it out somewhere.
Oh, look at that. So, yeah, sorry. The wife was just showing me something that it's been a mystery in our apartment for quite some time. So, my apologies. The Browns. It's puzzling because now with Deshaun Watson as the quarterback, and there is nothing to expect. The expectation and the bars, as we already know, is set low there. Who is the future of the Browns? Is it going to be Deshaun Watson? And let's say if he has a good year and the Browns decide to re-sign him. Or is it Shedeur Sanders? To me, this is, I kind of hate to say it this way, it's football Siberia. It just is. The team has not been successful. They made the playoffs twice since they've been back in Cleveland, going back to 1999 after they left to go to Baltimore in the middle of the night in 90 after the 95 season. They have one playoff win under their belt. And yeah, it's a disaster. And the only thing I could say, if I want to put a positive spin on the Browns, is that the only direction is to go up. Have you hit rock bottom? Maybe they still haven't hit rock bottom. Maybe they have to have another 0-16 season like they had on the Hugh Jackson. What year was that? 2011, 2012-ish, somewhere around there. Maybe a year or two after that. But to me, this team, there's no way to go but up. But they still may take a few steps back before they can even do that. They're going to have a long year. No Myles Garrett. And I kind of going into NFL preview mode, so I got to get away from that. But to me, they're just going to have a long year. And we talk about the Dolphins being one of the worst teams. I think Cleveland, because they have a semblance of a good defense, Denzel Ward, you bring in Jared Verse to trade from Myles Garrett. And, yeah, offensively, you don't have much to speak of. What, Jerry Jeudy, if that? But, yeah, it's going to be a long year in Cleveland. So I would only just say you can only hope that they could trend north. And their first two games on the road, so who knows? Maybe they could steal one of those two games. What is it? They're in Jacksonville. And what's the next game off the top of my head? They're on the road. It'll come to me, but that's Cleveland. Pittsburgh. I can't say can they win a playoff game because they got to make the playoffs first. But to me, what it boils down to, can a quarterback stay upright for 17 games? I know it's a long sentence and that's a question, but that's going to be the Steelers season. And I've talked about a lot on the Steelers latest on that channel there for Fan Arts Network. I give them a plug. And I know I haven't really plugged it that much here, which I got to start doing so. But to me, it's going to be all predicated on Aaron Rodgers' health. And to think, to have to rely on a guy that's 42 years of age, certainly he's approaching, let's face it, he's at the 17th hole ready to swing from the tee box. And this is it. They're going to have to sink or swim with him. And you guys know how I feel about it. I think if he has time and he's able to escape and improvise, albeit less often than not, I think the Steelers have a chance to get into the playoffs. But if he's going to get banged around and he's not going to be healthy, you can forget about it. And to me, that team, it's either high note 11-6, low note probably 7-10. And that's going to be the difference of either making the playoffs as a 6 seed or maybe they squeak in winning the division at 11-6, which is unlikely. Hey, listen, they were 10-7 last year. And they actually beat the Ravens, where Lamar Jackson, for the most part, was healthy all year. And the flip side of that being that won't make the playoffs. And that's the type of year they're going to have. And that's what it was last year. That's what it was the year before that. But to me, can he stay healthy? And if they do, they have a shot. Again, to possibly make the playoffs, and that's it. Beyond, I can't even tell you. Denver. Well, no, let's go to the South. Texans. To me, this is all about C.J. Stroud. What kind of year he has is the kind of year the Texans are going to have. We know about that defense. We know they're loaded, etc. But C.J. Stroud, who fell flat on his face in that playoff game in New England and wasn't really that great in the Steeler game either, in the wild card game. And we know Stroud has ability. We know that he can play in the league. There's no knock there. But to me, there needs to be a market improvement. And I think when I look at the Texans this year, that's the one guy I'm going to zero in on. C.J. Stroud. Are we going to win a division at 12-5, host a playoff game, and then maybe finally get past the divisional round? Or, yeah, are we going to be on the road in the wild card and, again, fall flat in the divisional round? So to me, it's C.J. Stroud. Indianapolis. Listen, Daniel Jones, I look at them as a team that they could make some noise. And I guess the best way to put it is that the team is all built on Jonathan Taylor. And when he goes, that team goes. And remember, he was a borderline MVP candidate last year about what? 12, 13 weeks into the season. But to me, how the Colts are going to fare, I just think they're going to be middle of the pack. They could get off to a fast start. Last year, we know that their record was after 8 and 10 games, and they were unable to, and to think it was Daniel Jones, and then they seemed like they didn't win a game the rest of the way. But I don't know. To me, that's a neither here nor there type of team. Could they be successful? I think they could. Will they? I don't think they will. I know that's not really a word or a sentence, but they're kind of maybe that's it. The Colts, you think about them today? That's what I see. Jacksonville. After the crushing playoff loss last year, and to me, is Trevor Lawrence going to be that guy? Remember we talked about former number one picks, Joe Burrow? And Trevor Lawrence came into the league, looked like he was going to be the next big thing. And let's face it, he's been anything but. And how I see Trevor Lawrence, knowing that he does have a playoff win under his belt, albeit it was against the Chargers, down 27-0 at the half. And they haven't had the success that they thought they would have with him as the face of the franchise. And to me, again, just like C.J. Stroud, I think Trevor Lawrence, what has he learned over the first 4 or 5 years of his career to take his team to that next level? Yeah, let's get to an AFC championship game. Please, Blake Bortles got to an AFC championship game. Trevor Lawrence can't. I know the conference is loaded, but still. So to me, it banks on him, on whether or not they're going to be able to go ahead and jump to that level where they're in a championship game, whether it's at home or in Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, you name it. Tennessee, just keep stacking chips. Cam Ward last year, Robert Saleh this year. Funny how he's going to go up against the Jets week 1. But to me, you just keep stacking the chips. They're going to move into a new building next year. They're probably going to have another high draft pick. Maybe they'll get an impactful defensive player or an offensive lineman that they'll need for Cam Ward. But again, they're just, the foundation is being built, and all they can do is just keep layering those bricks. But think about it. The house isn't even a quarter full. In fact, you probably have just a one layer of bricks around the whole foundation. That's where they're at. So, but at least they got something. That's Tennessee. Denver. I think they're in the same boat to me as New England. Now, I'm not going to say, oh, what do you do for an encore? I'm not going to go there. We all know a lot of it is Bo Nix. But Denver now is going to be a team that is going to be hunted. And first place schedule. How to respond to that is going to be interesting to see. So to me, I want to know the Bronco resilience. knowing that teams are going to be gunning for him and how they're going to respond to that. And listen, the head coach, we saw him awful last year in that championship game. And that's where he's going to be graded. He could have another 12-5, 13-4, 14-3 type year. But with Peyton, all right, let me see this in the playoffs. But to me, because Kansas City's going to be healthier, will the Chargers be better? I don't know. Raiders, not so much. But it's the other teams in the league. How they go ahead and play against the top teams in their first place schedule and those top teams, how they're going to respond, that's why I'm going to be curious to see how they play. Kansas City. We know it's about Patrick Mahomes, but with the last goal offer, you would think for Travis Kelce, I think I see a rebound year. Mahomes is chomping at the bit. He's ready to go. He says he's ready for week one. He's the type of guy that has that bulldog mentality. If I'm the rest of the AFC, I would have to take them and put them on notice. And I see a rebound year from them. I get it. You still don't like their wideouts. They do have Frank Walker, the Super Bowl MVP. But I think they're going to rebound. That's the big word there. Raiders. They have their quarterback. And they have their new head coach. I think it's even a step before Tennessee. If they have one layer of brick that's built around their foundation, yeah, they have the foundation. Now they got to start laying the bricks. That's the Raiders. And when you have a combo of the quarterback and the coach, where Clint Kubiak is a guy that you would think with his offensive mindset, and obviously you have the Heisman Trophy winner and a guy that won a national championship, where we know he's not going to start right away. But you would think once you get after Kirk Cousins, who knows, week 6, week 7, if he doesn't get hurt, and Mendoza comes in, and he's going to have to take his lumps, and he's going to have his welcome to the NFL moment. But guess what? At least the foundation is set. Now it's just a matter of trying to get back to the commitment to excellence that the Raiders, going back to Al Davis, which is still a long way off. But you know what? At least they had the two big pieces in place. Now we got to see what Kubiak is going to be as far as the coach goes. And we certainly don't know what Mendoza is going to be like in the pro level. But at least they have that, which could be cannot be said for a lot of teams in the NFL. Well, maybe not a lot, but you know what I mean. Chargers. Justin Herbert. Even Jim Harbaugh. We know Harbaugh's a good coach. We know Herbert has big-time ability. But this team can't get out of their own way. This is a team that on paper should be in the middle of the pack when it comes to the AFC. 3rd seed, 4th seed, not 5th, 6th, 7th. And I think there's going to be some pressure on Harbaugh this year. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to get fired. Doesn't mean that, and they're not going to go 5-12. But Jim Harbaugh, you had an excellent career at Stanford with Andrew Luck. In San Francisco, you had Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. Went to a Super Bowl and 3 straight championship games. Went to Michigan. We know what happened there. And now here you're in L.A., and you've taken a few steps back. So how I see it is that if Harbaugh and Herbert, which they're going to be attached at the hip, it's time for them to make some moves. It's time for them to step it up. And I think that'd be the best way to put it. If I'm a Charger fan, 3 words: step it up. It's time. No more kid gloves. No more, this feel-out process. This is their 3rd year together. Come on, let's go. And for the 9 people that are on right now, I appreciate you all. Just stand by. I'll get to the comments after I go through the NFC, as I'm chronicling every team in 1 word or 1 sentence when it comes to the upcoming NFL season. Now, NFC. The Dallas Cowboys. We know what the expectations year in and year out. Defense, you would think, is improved. Offense is pretty much the same. I think, to me, the big question is, can they finally get to a championship game for the first time in 31 years? I know the goal is Super Bowl in Dallas, but come on. They haven't been to a conference title game. 31 years. I remember it well. They hosted the Packers January 14th, 1996. I was in Houston, Texas after the Steelers beat the Indianapolis Colts. And to think it was that day, it was the last time that they even had a shot to get back to a Super Bowl. And to me, with the Cowboys, is this. Their owner needs to stay quiet. Their quarterback has to produce in the playoffs. And to me, I won't go as far as saying Super Bowl or bust, but with Brian Schottenheimer there as the coach and their offensive talent and defense, I mean, the team is talented to go to Super Bowl. I'll say that. But are they going to do it? But to me, it has to be conference title game or bust. Only because they have not been there in 31 years. And I get it. They're the Cowboys, just like the Lakers. It's championships or bust. Or the Canadiens or the Yankees. Right. We understand that they are a cornerstone franchise in the sport. And we understand they got to qualify for the playoffs too. But if I'm the owner, and you know he always has something to say, and I know Dak Prescott, Super Bowl. No. How about saying, let's make the playoffs, and I want to get to a title game. The fans haven't seen a title game. I want to get there first. Yes, we understand it's about Super Bowl, but we can't get to a Super Bowl if we don't get to a conference title game. And to me, I think it's conference title or bust. It has to be. I mean, anything less than that, with the way the team is constructed, I understand injuries, anything can happen, but that's how I see the Cowboys. The Giants. And it's funny, they're in a similar boat to the Jets, I think, because if they double the win total, Jackson Dart stays healthy, Cam Scatterboo, and they actually have very good personnel on the offense. They have a good offensive line. They have key players there as far as they have a bunch of running backs right now. They bring in Najee Harris to go along with Tyrone Tracy. I know Wan'Dale Robinson exits, but then you bring back Malik Neighbors, OBJ. The team is pretty good. Isaiah Likely from Baltimore. Defensively, we know they got young studs there. Brian Burns has been good. Of course, they bring in the kid from Ohio State, Arvell Reese. The team has the makings of being really good. And Harbaugh, I'm sure he's hammered home. However, whatever message he sent. I think the team's going to be good. And I would think there's going to be some incremental progress there at MetLife. But how I look at it is that the team is still, they're not ready for the playoffs. And I understand I'm going to sound like a broken record here as far as the New York teams. But right, if you're a Giant fan, you want to see, what were they, 4-13 last year? Can they get to 8? Can they get to 7? 6 wouldn't be enough. I mean, you want to get 7, 8. You would like to be one of those teams, which I think is nonsense when you get to December, those teams in the hunt for the playoffs. Meanwhile, they're 6 and 8. And it's like, come on, 6 and 8, you're not in the hunt. If you're 7 and 7, you're 500, all right, fine. 6 and 8, that means nonsense. 7 and 9 in the hunt, no. You may be alive or mathematically alive, but if you have a 2% chance to make the playoffs, you're not in the hunt. Progress. Commanders. After a terrible year last year and 2 years ago making it to a championship game, Jaden Daniels, I don't want to call him the savior, but you have to wonder and question his health this year. Because as he goes, I think the Commanders could have a big year. Does that mean 12-5 in an NFC championship game of 2 years ago? No, but I would expect them to be in the hunt. And I'm not talking about the 6 and 8 variety. I'm talking about the 8 and 6, where they may be 7 seed or on the outside looking in late in the year. So that's how I'm going to look at it. I think if he's healthy, they have a good shot. And I don't want to put all of the onus on him, but we all know the NFL is a quarterback league. And if you don't have the quarterback, forget it. You're dead. So considering you look at the trajectory, year one as a rookie, wow. Astounded everybody. Year two on the shelf, all right, came back down to earth. Now, let's see where they're at. Stephon Diggs, swap him out for Deebo Samuel. And the Commanders, I'm not going to say they're going to be right there, but if Daniels plays anything close to what he did 2 years ago, they may be right there. And right there meaning that they could be a playoff team. So I'll just say, Jaden Daniels, time for him to rise. The Bears, NFC North. You know, I've thought about this earlier, and I really think, and I don't want to go in preview mode, but the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams marriage looks great, but now it has to be greater. How's year two going to look? I think about the Broncos, the hunted. Bears are going to be hunted. Tougher schedule. And that's not to say they can't thrive or can't reach a certain level, but knowing that the thrills that Caleb Williams gave you can even duplicate that and then some. I think that's going to be the thought there in the Windy City for the Bears this year. Can they come close to duplicating what they did last year? Because they're going to have to do that in order for them to battle it out with the, and I forgot the Eagles. Why did I miss the Eagles? They're going to have to battle it out with the Cowboys, with the Seahawks, Rams, etc. I got to rewind. So for my guy, the novice, my apologies. Eagles. As I go back to the NFC North. Oh, excuse me, NFC East. I was in the NFC North. I kind of hate to use this word, but I'm going to say relief. No more A.J. Brown. New offensive coordinator. Maybe they opened up the windows and got the bad air out, maybe the good air in, and maybe they could just go back to playing football. And I'm sure come week 4, week 5, if Jalen Hurts is only throwing for 125 yards and Saquon Barkley's getting stuffed at the line, but they're winning games, they're going to find a way to say, uh-oh, what's going on with the offense? That's typical Philadelphia fans and the enormity of a 3-1 start, but it's not an impressive 3-1 start because of the aforementioned. Jalen Hurts not throwing the ball well, whatever. But I think it's going to be a relief. I think now knowing that the elephant is out of the room, and I don't want to put this all on A.J. Brown, but now they could focus in on football, try to get themselves back to where they were a couple of years ago. And who knows? Remember, on again, off again, on again, off again. This could be their on year. What was it? 3 years ago, if I do this correctly. No, 4 years ago, went to a Super Bowl, lost. The year after, they were 11-1, or 10-1 to start their year, and they won that Monday night game in Kansas City. And then from that point, they fizzled and lost in Tampa. Went back to a Super Bowl, won. Last year, we know what happened. Lose to the Niners again, all the craziness of the regular season. And then now, what's going to happen here year 5? So I think the relief, the tension out of the room, and I think the Eagles could have a big year. Back to a Super Bowl? Too early to tell. I'll talk about that in the preview, but something to think about. Lions. There's one word I have with the Lions, besides health with their defense. Redemption. Last year, tough schedule. And with the 2 years prior to that, NFC Championship game, bad game against the Commanders in the divisional round after securing the 1 seed. I think it's going to be redemption. Their schedule's not that hard. Dan Campbell, I'm sure, has been hammering it home all training camp and summer long. I think it's redemption for the Lions. I think they can have a big year. Packers. To me, I'm going to just call it this way. They're the little girl with the curl. And I'm taking that from somebody else. And what I mean by that is that they're the little girl with the curl, that she's looks cute, looks like, oh, hey, there she is. But then next thing you know, you give her a lollipop and she throws it across the room. Or she's thirsty, she takes a sip of her drink, and then she spills it all over the place. So, yeah, she's cute with the curl, and to me, that's the Packers. Who knows Micah Parsons, when he's going to return? They're going to need him big time. Jordan Love, as I said a million times over, I like him. I think he's a good quarterback, but to me, he's the Robinson Cano of quarterbacks. And if you haven't watched Robinson Cano, the former Yankee second baseman, Seattle, the Mets, steroids, I know. But he's the type of guy that Robinson Cano is smooth swing, feels the ball cleanly, smoothly, but very nonchalant. And that's where I see Jordan Love. A guy, fluid motion, smooth, cool as a cucumber, but no intensity, no urgency, not getting in guys' faces, just kind of like, I'm here. And to me, that's indicative of that Packer team. It's the little girl with the curl. They could be that team. They could be dangerous. But just when you think they're going to be dangerous, this is when they spit the bit. Vikings. The talent on both sides of the ball are there, but poor quarterback play is going to get them nowhere. And with Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy, who I still don't know what he is. And yes, we're going to talk about, he's the guy that won in Michigan. So, yeah, I understand that. But in the pros, what has he been? He's done nothing. He's been hurt. And Minnesota's one of those teams that if they got good quarterback play, and that division, we all know that's a rugged division, they could be a playoff team. But are they a playoff team? And to me, how I look at them, and I kind of said that about the Colts, they're kind of and that's how they are. They're And I don't want to use that, again, if I had to come up with a better word or just to not sound like the broken record, to be the same. To me, the Vikings are a team that you look at, they could be good, but they could be bad. They're right there smack in the middle. I don't look at the Viking team to be one that, forget about Super Bowl, but is a playoff threat. And you say to yourself, why? Who's under center? I don't believe in Kyler Murray. That's not a knock. What did he do in Arizona? 1 year he made it into the playoffs. They got knocked out by the Rams on the wild card. And I believe at one point, although the game was out of hand, with about 5-6 minutes left, he said, nah, coach, I'm good. Sit me out. As has been reported. And we know Murray, I understand he's older, you figured he's mature. A guy that didn't like to go to watch film or read the playbook or anything like that. And again, I know I'm probably discrediting him considering that was years ago, but right now, I love the coach, Kevin O'Connell, and their team is good. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, the running back. Defense, I don't know how much more you deal with Harrison Smith. Is Harrison Smith even still on the team? I got to look at that. I look at their roster. But anyway, to me, that's the Vikings. They're a take it or leave it type of team, at least right now. The South, Falcons. That's another team. Pieces in place, decimated by injuries on the offensive side, on the defensive side. Your quarterback, you have two lefty quarterbacks. The Falcons are just one of those teams that are just another. No, but if I could come on one better, the Falcons, I have to say, the Falcons are dangerous, but they're either going to be dangerously good or dangerously bad. And I think they're going to be more dangerously bad than good because they've lost two defensive players, one out for the year, the other out for 8 weeks, and one by suspension, I might add, to James Pierce. We know about Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. But Tua, Michael Penix, who I like, to me, again, they're nondescript. We know that they're more of a running type team, but they're not going to be able to hand the ball to Bijan Robinson 50 times a game. And I know I'm exaggerating, but to me, the Falcons are one of those teams that have a lot of potential, but they're going to disappoint you. So I'm going to say that. Potential high, disappointment very high. Carolina, Bryce Young. Going what, year 4 now? Or year 3? No, I think it's year 4. 22 he was drafted. So it's year 4. How much he's learned from last year is going to be indicative with the head coach Dave Canales as to where this team's going to go. I want to say the maturation of Bryce Young. That's it. And we know from the program he came from and a guy who had shown flashes, but now he's going to have to put it all together. This isn't a situation where he's going into his 3rd year and he's starting to figure it out. You would hope that last year he's starting to figure it out and this year he figures it out. Does that mean 11-6, 12-5? No. What are they, 8-9 last year? Can you win 10 games this year? They won a division in 8-9. They can win a 10, can they? Tampa Bay. Wait, let me go in order here. New Orleans. Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck. I like Shuck. I think he's going to be good. But by the Bayou, they're still a far cry from being anything close to being a playoff team. But, and I don't want to go back to the foundation deal with Cam Ward or with Fernando Mendoza. And Shuck, listen, 2nd-round pick, I think he was last year. You would hope that they had the quarterback. Kellen Moore, we know, is an offensive mind. We know his pedigree. But the Saints are going to be one of those teams that are going to surprise you on some Sundays. And when you think they're going to be surprising, they're bad. So I think the Saints, I think they're still 2 years away. And let's see if Shuck develops into a quarterback that you could rely on. But they're still, to me, I'm going to say 2 years away from being of any competitive team that's in the NFL. And Tampa, how I look at this one, the honeymoon. Is it over between Baker and the Bucs? Unless they come to an agreement before the start of the season on a contract. But either Baker's going to look at this as a chip on his shoulder, which he always has, big year, and then go elsewhere, or he's going to battle it out, guts and all, injuries, etc., win anywhere between 8 to 10 games, hope to win the division, and then either get bounced in the wild card or lose in a divisional game. But to me, I think this is the story here is Baker and the Bucs. Because if Baker doesn't have a big year, he's gone. And if he does have a big year, what happens? Out of the 4 teams, I think they're the best team in the division. And for them not to win is a disgrace. Even with Carolina, we talk about Bryce Young, but still. I would have to say Tampa, but I don't trust them. And who knows with the head coach, Todd Bowles, but it's Baker and the Bucs. Who's going to blink first, the Bucs or Baker? NFC West, Arizona. I know we talk about Miami. Tennessee to a lesser degree. The Cardinals, are they the worst team? I guess simply put, it's going to be a long year. End of story. It's going to be a long year. I don't know what else to tell you. Rams. Stacked. And I'll just say this. This is flat out. If there was a slogan for the 2026 Los Angeles Rams, this is it. You bring in Trent McDuffie. You bring in Myles Garrett. You have Matthew Stafford coming off of an MVP and a conference championship game performance. Yeah, Puka Nacua is one of the top receivers. Hopefully his head's on straight after what happened there last year. You got good running backs. You have all the pieces in place. This is it. What else can you say? All the chips are to the middle of the table. And it's amazing to think that when they sold themselves out to win the Super Bowl in 2021 and how they were in cap hell, whatever, and they dug themselves out of it and give it up to Les Snead, the GM. And here they are, 5 years later, coming off of a conference championship appearance. And now, all guns a-blazing. This is it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Niners. I know we could say, could Kyle Shanahan finally get to the mountaintop? But is this team built to get to the mountaintop right now? I know they drafted a lot of young defensive players. I know Fred Warner's coming back, Nick Bosa. They have championship makeup and they have championship talent. Although the coach in a big spot. Big spot. Still what had me a bit nervous. But I think for the Niners, in an uber competitive division, notwithstanding the Cardinals. But if I'm a Niner fan, Val, to you, how I see it, I would almost say nobody's picking us, watch us. That would be my thing for the Niners this year. Or maybe they'll even come out and say, why not us? But why not us is more of an underdog mentality. I would say, watch us. Brock Purdy, if he's healthy, we know he's a very productive quarterback in that system. Deebo Samuel comes back. And listen, I'm not making Deebo Samuel out to be throwing any name. Tyreek Hill or whatever. But he knows the system. George Kittle, healthy, ready to go. Or seems like he's ready to go. He's off the PUP list. I would say, watch out. Now, and they were decimated by injury last year. And they're not going to sneak up on anybody, but I would say, watch out. And then you have, last but not least, the defending Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks. It's tough to repeat, as you know. Sam Darnold, big last 2 years for him. The head coach, Mike McDonald. Zach Charbonnet, I don't know if he's going to be ready. We know Kenneth Walker is in Kansas City. I think the one word or the sentence for the Seattle Seahawks is, they're coming for us. Well, we're coming for them. Does that mean they're going to repeat? No. And I'm sure they know that everybody's going to come after them, especially the two teams in their own division. But I would think as much heat as the Seahawks are going to get this year from the division, first place schedule, opponents, etc. And obviously they're not going to be taken lightly. But I think the Seahawks, they're going to look at that as, if people are coming for us, well, we're coming for them. And again, that doesn't mean the Super Bowl or a repeat or even getting back there. But I don't think they're going to lay down. Could there be some hangover? There could. And I wouldn't be surprised. But then at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if they rise, even if they don't get the 1 seed or win a division. But if they're right there, even if it's in the thick of the NFC playoff race, they're still going to be coming for people. And that's how I look at them. Because they have that about them. We know that how good that defense is. We know about their offense, even without Kenneth Walker. But as much as this team's going to be coming for them, they're going to do the same. Which is going to be very compelling for the NFL this year. And that's it, people. Those are my 32 for 32. 48 comments. With one word or one sentence. And I appreciate those who are still sticking with me. Yeah, I see the novice. Did I miss my team? Yeah, no, that was me. I missed it. Comments. Yeah, I saw this bio. All right, that's your prediction. A former Steeler, by the way. Yeah, will he have his first 300-yard game this year? I would say yes, because the way the league is designed, and Malik Neighbors is going to be healthy and ready to go, I would say yes to that. And Isaiah Likely's a big target. So, yeah. Yeah, Val, they start next month, probably right around the time or soon thereafter the start of the NFL season. That Sunday, the 13th. So maybe that week. I have to go back and check. But Ray, greetings. I like what you said at the beginning of your show yesterday about my Yankees, but this one. Oh, it's freezing. I wonder how it looks now. Hopefully it's coming through. Wi-Fi is strong. I mean, the router's right there, so I'm wondering if all is well. But yeah, Yankees. What I said, my nightmare that I had, and listen, they should still come out of the AL. But again, with Cashman, with Aaron Boone, I don't know. He would scare me in a big spot, as you know. I posted injuries on my channel. If you saw about NFL, so everyone can keep track. Warriors and 2 players. All right, Val. Yes, Val's always good for that. Much appreciate you, Val. And who's turned 27? Nas Reed. He'll be now what? Charlotte Hornets. Was he in that trade with Minnesota? How did Dennis points on Monday? Yes. Hopefully it went well, Ray. I know a date to dentist is not fun. Although I don't mind. Yeah, I've had braces. I've had everything done. Dolphins worse than Falcons. We agree to disagree. No, I can see the Dolphins being worse because they have no. I mean, let me ask you this: other than Devin Achane, who do they have on their team offensively? And even on their defense, I mean, at least the Falcons have players. If you or I were at quarterback, then obviously, I mean, we could probably get the ball to Drake London or Kyle Pitts please. So no, I would agree with that. And the over/under for both, I think they have the worst. They're 4.5. And we'll talk about the over/unders next week. Jets, Geno, no playoffs. Yeah, I can see that. Yep. They'll be battling it out. And that's interesting. Malik Willis, he signed that 3-year, $67 million? And if he has a bad year this year, Miami's number one, you know they're going to draft a quarterback. And even if Willis is the starter next year, then, you know, he may win the job, but then they have one more year and they could just cut him. But now that I think about it, who was the Arizona Cardinal quarterback? Because off the top of my head, I should know that, but let's see. Oh, that's right, Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, I know Jeremiah Love, but come on. They don't have a quarterback. End of story. Then the Bengals don't improve this year. Don't be surprised if yes, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And here's going to be the one team that is going to be tempted. And I'm sure the Bengals will probably call them first. The Jets have 3 number 1 picks. Their own, which if they have a bad year, they could get the quarterback. But let's say if they end up 5th or 6th in the draft order, they could take their pick, the Indy pick if they have a bad year. And I understand the Dallas Cowboys may have a big year too, but they could package all 3 of those picks to move up if they want. Now, I wouldn't do that because if I have the 5th pick, I would try to trade my pick and maybe a 1 the following year to move up to get the quarterback that they want, whether it's Arch Manning or who knows, Trinidad Chambliss, if he's going to be good enough to be in the pros. I'm sure he'll get drafted, or Dante Moore, a guy like that. So Joe Burrow could be a guy that the Jets would be enticed to grab. But the thing with Burrow is that you want to be able to capitalize on that window. So if you do trade for him, all right, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Breece Hall, you got to make sure you have a defense or whomever else on offense, and away you go. You can't have him be the guy, and then you got barely nothing, which the Jets don't have barely nothing, but you understand. They got to be ready to go to the next level. They can't be there to kind of start over or piecemeal it, and then Burrow's what? 34. But I like the Jet GM, Darren Mugi or Muji, however you pronounce it. So I'm sure he'll do the right thing. But as of right now, I wouldn't trade that. Sleeper team is here is Jacksonville. To get to a Super Bowl, Bio, I think. Who would be a sleeper team? I got to save that. If I start going off on like sleeper teams and things of that nature, then my preview is going to end up being more of a snooze you. I don't know. I just made that word up. J-Rod, greetings. What is happening? Bio, I got the Jags and Lions in my Super. Oh, look at that. I like that. That's good. It's different. Yep, I agree with Bio. See, and I like that because, of course, I won't tell you who my Super Bowl pick is now. And even though it'd be easy maybe to pick one team, whichever conference, not that I'm trying to tip my hand, but yeah, I try to be different. Just like my baseball, what I pick, Seattle and Philadelphia, which that wasn't far-fetched at the start of the year. But, I'm not picking Dodgers, fill in the blank. Dodgers, Mariners, Dodgers, Blue Jays rematch, Dodgers, Yankees. I mean, come on. So I try to be different with Seattle, Philadelphia. And not that I'm going to be, at least right now, as I keep it close to the vest, I'm not going to be overtly different. But, yeah, I like when people pick Jacksonville and Detroit. And not just, I'm going to pick Kansas City and the Rams. Or, I'm picking Seattle, New England again. Or name any, Philadelphia, Kansas City. Or San Francisco, Kansas City. No, if you're going to pick San Francisco, Jacksonville, all right, I'm here for it. Or you're going to pick, let's say somebody wants to pick Buffalo. All right, so Buffalo and who? You pick Philadelphia? All right. No, I understand you're not going to pick Buffalo, New Orleans, or Buffalo, Detroit, which was my pick, 2 years ago, I think it was. But you know what I'm saying when it comes to that, so we shall see. Bio, but I do agree with you, Rams, Super Bowl, and a bust. Yep, that's exactly. I can't just get there. Rams not both the same boat. Yep, that's true too. Lions offensive line, secondary. Yeah, that would make me nervous too, J-Rod. But the schedule is in your favor, though. The schedule is certainly in your favor. Lions already lost starting center K Mason. 10 weeks, yep. Jameer Gibbs. Yeah, he would have to have a Marshall Falk St. Louis Rams type year. 22, 2,300 all-purpose yards. Bio now it says wrist. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Oh, that's in reference to the center. Cade Mays. J-Rod on the F score. Half the season. I don't have my glasses here. Hold on a second. Look at this, guys. I don't even see the reflection. It's taking me longer to read it than. All right, so I got to keep it down. I know. I kind of hate that. Don't you hate that? You see the reflection? Hey, look who's here. Yeah, we still have, by the way, Blue. Still watching this dog for at least another week. Can you imagine? He did something last night that was just, or she, I should say. My apologies. I mean, she's a good dog, but she's a little tricky. All right. It's funny. I have my glasses on. I got to clean them now. Bob just saying that there's news to me. Playing a bunch of different centers. Obviously in the final game of the preseason. And Detroit backing up with Michael Enes is injured. 3 or 4 stringers, which is scary. Landry Shaman, what are you smoking? He was wearing a was he really? Is he from Milwaukee? Hold on a second. Let's look him up there. Waffle Iron. Born in Kansas City, Missouri. Shamit is bounced around, as we know. Listen, he likes the Brewers. I understand we could say Waffle Iron, how dare he, but who are we to tell him? But yeah, I didn't see that. All right. But you're right. I remember them saying that this preseason game. All right. Fishing Angel. Greetings. They just recalled. Oh, jeez. Wow, I just recalled it. Did you have any complications with that? Hopefully you didn't. OBJ making the Giants. He's had a great camp. And even though it's been agreed that there's no guarantees, but I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if he makes it. Now, we all know he's a shell of his old self. He's 34. He's had the injuries, etc. But not that I've followed it closely, but you know what? I'd say yes. I think he will. Influence in the locker room. Buy a Super Bowl pick. I know the Rams, so you got them playing. Oh, Bio, I see your Super Bowl pick. What if Question Stafford goes down for the season? Rams still Super Bowl contenders. Now, their odds will go down big time, but I'd still have to say yes. But here's the thing. They would probably have to trade for a quarterback because we got Stetson Bennett and Ty Simpson as the backup. Maybe they'd call Atlanta for Kirk Cousins because, Cousins isn't going to have the job that much longer. That's just a guess. But something like that. Rams, Ravens. Oh, boy, I'll be rooting hard for the Rams that night. Oh. And again, people, Super Bowl Sunday, Valentine's Day. Don't forget. And watch it be Steelers-Lions. Or Steelers-Rams, for that matter. But, J-Rod, I like the pick. If Stafford gets injured, obviously. That's a good one, too. I don't even know who the backup is for the... Who is the backup? J-Rod, off the top of your head? Yeah, these guys need to be cleaned. Josh Dobbs. Oh, I thought he was in free agent Luke Altmaier. Yeah, not good. And listen, I understand you don't have the luxury of keeping a Steve Young behind Joe Montana, but yeah, that's certainly a far cry. That's for sure. Saints are tanking. Oh, I can see that. Yep, by the Bayou, etc. Did I miss my team? No, in fact, I did. Then obviously that's my fault. But I think if Goff goes down, yeah, I gotta clean these. Wait, if Goff goes down, yeah, Dobbs, we did play in Pittsburgh also. No, and Dobbs has ability too. So yeah, I don't mind him. But you got to wonder whether or not. I mean, and Goff is a guy who's been healthy his whole career, which helps. So, Bio, all the 49ers. Oh, let me think about that. Are they dysfunctional? Well, I don't know. I know that Brandon Ayuk thing was weird, and nothing's been discussed about that. I don't know about dysfunctional. I'd say no, but maybe they're this close. Because Trent Williams, obviously, he's got a lot to say. Well, not a lot to say, but he's got a lot of bravado, and we know about Debo. Yeah, I mean, I'd say they're borderline dysfunctional. Advice guy, what is up, my man? Welcome. Of course, J-Rod showing love. It comes in waves to that team. And yes, they are. All right. Hold on. J-Rod saying what's up to right? All right. Luka Doncic's on 30 pounds working on Sylvania with the Lakers. Looks totally different. Well, didn't that happen last year, Bio? Remember how he looked? And I think he lost 20 to 25 pounds last year, and now he's lost 30. But here's the thing. He has those soft tissue injuries. He always has a hammy. He always has something pulled. And you know what's interesting? Keith Hernandez, the former Cardinal Met, who, yeah, it's a lot better. The former Cardinal Met, where he said that a lot of the players in this day and age, especially in baseball, they get all these injuries, especially with their legs, whether it's calves, hamstrings in particular. And he says he feels like a lot of the reason why that's the case is because players don't run anymore. And what he meant by that was, yeah, you could sprint in the outfield, and yeah, you could stretch all you want and do and all that. But as far as for cardio purposes, to be able to run, to get those legs moving, limber, because we all know baseball stop and start, cut, turning bases, outfield when a play comes. We know how baseball works. And he feels that a lot of these players who got these injuries, Giancarlo Stanton for one, where they don't work on their cardio. They don't get on the treadmill for 20 minutes, half hour. Maybe they do for 10. And they can do Stairmasters and all that. But yeah, there's nothing like running, because when you have that repetitive aerobic exercise, it's almost as if your body and the muscle memory is able to, I don't want to say adapt. I can't remember the exact word he used, but to me, it's something that because players don't do it often and that they are unable to have those legs loose, have those legs. And it's interesting too, because as a runner, people always say, if you're going to stretch after you run, not before you run, because there is a danger of pulling something, because if you stretch yourself and then you're going to go run 6-8 miles, yeah, all it takes is for you to land a certain way or step a certain way or extend yourself. And it's like, oh, geez, where if you've already worked up, you start off slow, jog, and then you build up to a run, and then you finish. Now you're beyond warmed up, and you can stretch the muscles. And I guess with baseball players, again, they rather squat 1,000 pounds and curl 200. Of course, I'm exaggerating. And yeah, they'll forget about doing cardio, and they can stretch, and they can do Pilates and yoga, and to me that made sense when he said that. Dolphins should start calling their team when we're doing it. Yeah, Dolphins. Oh yeah. Tuna fish. More beers and cigarettes for Luca. Yeah, and hookah. It's kind of hilariously funny. Thank you, Ray. Arizona more than likely. Yep, I can see that too. Would not be surprised. Each actually won regrets from London this year. Yeah, they do play in London. That's right. So they're going to play in London, and then they'll play at SoFi. How about nobody talking about the 49ers coach Carson and his problems? Well, yeah, Kyle Shanahan, who got into that accident, I haven't seen him on the sideline, so I don't even know if he's back patrolling the sidelines in these preseason games. But, yeah, and then Jed York, I know I didn't really talk about that the other day. Listen, first of all, what is he doing? What is he doing? Looking up wherever he was to try to find a partner for the night, and then he gets caught by an undercover. I mean, that's the same thing that we saw. Oh, not same, but Robert Kraft before the AFC Championship game when New England was in Kansas City, and Robert Kraft got caught in that strip mall with a bunch, with the masseuse. Very seedy, very shady. And meanwhile, there's a guy that, if it's that serious, Mr. Kraft, I'm sure there's someone you could call that will be able to handle all of those services. Just like I'm sure Jed York, and listen, I get it. Whether it's a fetish thing, whether it's an addiction thing, who am I to judge? But considering you're the highest of highs in the front office when it comes to an NFL team, and you're going to go out and do that, whether you're Robert Kraft or Jed York, you do have to ask yourself, what are you doing? Get no pass from me. And I understand he had an itch to be scratched. But you mean to tell me that, I kind of hate to even say it this way, but you mean to tell me that there isn't anybody else that you know that could refer you to somebody? And I don't even know what York's situation is. Is he married? Hopefully that's not the case, but yeah. And yeah, who knows if that's going to linger? Maybe not so much the accident for Shanahan as it is for York, because he's going to have to be the one to deal with it. And the players aren't going to ask. Nobody's going to Brock Purdy and be like, hey, you guys are 0-2. Do you think this has to do with anything what Jed York did a couple weeks ago? Nah, there's no correlation. And then, how do Yankee fans feel about Mike Stanton, Mr. Regular? Yeah. He is done for the year. Calf injury. Yeah, it's a shame. It's all right. Let him bark. Miami Chicken of the Sea would be a good name for them as well. Yeah. Chicken of the Sea. No, it's all right. They're going to bark. They bark. Oh, wait. Hold on. I got the zapper. Watch this. I didn't zap it. I appreciate it. Thank you. There's people outside, so of course they got to bark. The yapper. Don't worry about it. It's all good. All right. So, yeah, Chicken of the Sea. Well, they're knocking. Hang on. I may have to put this on hold. Hold on. Yeah, I guess we got a delivery at the door, so therefore the dogs are going crazy. Oh, Bio, I'll answer that question in a second. Somebody knocked, though, right? Was that a package? Oh. Okay. Oh, now they're going to let them get tired. And as a matter of fact, Bio, yes, they can. Although I understand that dogs, with the way their physiology, that, of course, they're going to eat meat, but they can be. In fact, I know a couple of people that their dogs are strictly vegan. So they're herbivores. They eat plant-based. And I know there's some that be like, no, they can't do that. And no, it's just a matter of preference. And there's this one dog I know in particular who actually lives not too far from you, Bio, out in L.A., that he has a Yorkie. Dog's plant-based and has been, I think he's 11 now. So that's something to think about, something to consider. Not necessarily here, even though she eats anything. So, what is this? Look what more digital Michigan. Oh, yeah. Is that right? Where did you hear that? Sharon Moore, hold on. The yapper, yeah, boy, Yorkies. Sharon Moore, next coaching gig. You want me to get that? It's heavy? I'll get it. Hang on a second, guys. Hold on. Stand by. No, I told you. I said, hang on. You have headphones on? I don't know.
I do have that.
That's why, because I said, hang on.
But I also already did it. What am I gonna do? You really want to put it there? Where they
No,
can
I know the food. I know exactly. They're right there.
release the Krakens.
Hang on, guys. Let's go. Oh, nice. And you pulled both out? You know, I should.
That was blue before.
Yeah.
Blue's in the bathroom.
Then she runs out and moves it. How are you taking these out? Sure.
I think when she pulled that out, that's when she found the second ball. So I don't know where it was.
And today's National Dog Day, by the way. I don't know if you guys are aware, or gals. Guys and gals, excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, it is National Dog Day. So obviously they fully represented because we got a delivery at the door and they knocked and they went crazy. So thank you for hanging in there. I appreciate that. But that's interesting with more. I did not know that. But yeah, who would sign? I mean, come on. They'd be nuts. Oh, is that right? All right. Well, the Cleveland Browns are the worst sports franchise in our galaxy. I'd have to say yes. And that's a distinction I don't think any fan base would want to have. And think about this. We can go through all the teams. Even the Clippers have had success. And they've been notoriously bad. Even the Wizards. I'm trying to think. Baseball, Colorado. Colorado's not great either, but when was the last time Colorado was in the playoffs? Were they in the playoffs not that long ago? No, I'm not going back to 2007. Hockey. Yeah, the Browns are terrible. And you thank Jimmy Haslam for that. So, yeah, I'd have to say the Browns are the worst. I don't know if he was offered. Oh, I can see that. Somebody will do that. Yeah. And J-Rod agrees. Oh, here we go, Ray. I know it pains you to give my Yankees any credit, my brother, but I appreciate it. Sorry I haven't been in a conversation, but I'm here now. I'm fixing the battle. No, it's all good, Ray. No, listen. Just knowing that you're here, if you're in and out, it's all good. Does it pay me? You know what's funny? It doesn't. Listen, I give credit where credit is due. And, yeah, you don't have a problem with that. But, yeah, I guess, because you say it's the Yankees. But to me, it's all about October. That's where the Yankees get judged. And that's why I've learned a long time ago to never troll any team unless they have the proverbial knife through the heart. That's why, yeah, I may kid around about the Yankees from time to time, but until we get to October and until whether it's top of the ninth or bottom of the ninth and they make the last out, not record, they make the last out of a series to where they are defeated, then, and only then, is when it's my time. That's when I'll be, as you all know. Maybe not you, Ray, per se, but yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. Are the Cleveland Browns worse than the Washington Generals? Oh, yeah, probably. I would think. Victor E., my man, hang on there if you're still with me. Good to see you, man. I got your comment the other day. I followed up. I know. I still got to follow up with all these comments from and a lot of people are posting about this, the Enes cancer thing, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But I hope not BioZio, but I never expect anything from them being a fan of 50 years. I know. Vic, I expect nothing. Vic, I appreciate you. And Bio salutes you. Thanks, Vic. I appreciate that. I'm looking at your emoji there. All right. Looks cool. Yeah, the Browns, I know. Ugh. I mean, just has them trading for Deshaun Watson with all the legal issues and then paying him $235 million guaranteed. I mean, come on. No, it's beyond. Figure I lived that way 95% of my life as a Lions fan. Thank goodness Lions got together. Yes, that's true. J-Rock could say that. I like having fun with it on that. Good for you. Congrats. 120. Good for you, Ray. That's awesome. Thanks, Bio. John gave. I broke my heart twice, so I expect nothing. Oh, yeah, the 86-87. I won't bring up Ernest Biner. Yeah. J-Ron, enjoy, yes. Yeah, those 2 years. Oof. Especially the first one. Well, the second one, too, the Biner fumble. But Elway, 98 yards. Oh, man. That's the one thing the Browns, they had. Let me think about this for a second. We know about that loss, obviously. We know about the Biner loss. Vic, forgive me for even bringing this one up. That game in 80, where they lost to the Raiders, the Mike Davis interception, Brian Sipe. I mean, think about this. Think about this. If this happened today in today's sports climate and sports talk and everything, the Browns had the ball deep in Raider territory. I got to go back. I'm going to look at the play, but hear me out. And Vic, if you're driving, please, I hope you don't drive off the road. And I'm just even processing. Well, I can't even speak. I'm processing it now, and it's beyond unfathomable. And I remember watching the game in my bedroom, black and white TV, 1980. The Browns were trailing 14-12. They had the ball deep in Raider territory. In fact, they were in the red zone. And I understand it was a blustery, windy day, and I believe the kicker was, what was his name? Glenn Cockroft, I think his name was. Now I got to look this up. And for whatever the reason, they threw the ball in the end zone, and it got picked off. And all it was a field goal. Raiders, Browns. And I understand the weather was awful. AFC Championship. Here we go. But that game is indicative of the Browns. Red Right 88. That was the play. Yes, it was. I just want to know what the temperature was, though, in that game. Red Right 88. Don Criqui and John Brody. I need my glasses for this one. Red Right 88 was it was a divisional game. I thought it was a championship game. It was a divisional game. Yeah, a championship game, it was Dick Enberg. Yeah, because then who did Oakland play after that? They played San Diego, did they not? Yeah, and they beat San Diego in San Diego. I think it was like 34-24, and then they won against the Eagles. Yeah. Game time temperature was 4 degrees. Coldest NFL game since the Ice Bowl. First quarter contained nothing but punts and interceptions. Don Cockcroft was the guy's name, not Glenn. I said Glenn. Don Cockcroft. No points in the second quarter when Cockcroft missed the field goal attempt of 47 yards. All right, that's dicey. 47 yards in a freezing day. But here it is. Raiders took a 14-12 lead, 80-yard drive. Raiders had a chance to put the game away when they recovered a fumble from Sipe on the 24-yard line with 4:19 left, but on 3rd and 1, the Browns' 15-yard line, Mark Van Egan was stuffed on 2 consecutive plays because they didn't kick a field goal. And that was on the 15-yard line, so it just goes to show you. And listen, I get it. It was windy, but come on. Here it is, the play. Trailing 14-12 with less than a minute remaining in the game, the Browns had the ball on the Raider 13-yard line and were in position to kick a potential game-winning field goal. Sipe conferred with head coach Sam Rutigliano, who called a pass play. Red slot right, halfback stay 88. Instructed Sipe to throw it into Lake Erie, throwing the ball out of play as it was only 2nd down. If the play was anything less than wide open. On the next play, Sipe forced a pass to tight end Ozzie Newsome. It was intercepted in the end zone by Raider safety Mike Davis, who cut in front of Newsome. I mean, that is just, oh my God. I mean, you can't make that up. And then now, the logic behind trying for the touchdown was that Cockcroft, the Browns place kicker, had previously missed 2 field goal attempts, 1 extra point attempt blocked, and another aborted following a bad snap. And it was cold and windy. We know, mistake by the lake. When many people don't know about the situation, that I was a long way from being 100% physically. And he said I had true herniated disc. That I didn't know about. Just to get through the season. Should have gone on IR. Cockrell was released by the Browns at the end of the 81 game. Yeah. I'm sorry. I know it's windy, and they were kicking into the. It wasn't the open, and it was the end zone where the dog pound is, or was in that stadium. And I know that's going out toward the lake. I mean, but come on, they were in the 13-yard line. That is what, a 31-yard field goal? Come on, you got to try that. Run the ball. It's cold. Try to run the ball. I mean, you just can't. Yeah, you can't make it up. Let's see. Ernest Miner, I know. Let's see. I watched the Barry Sanders team. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. And they had some tough playoff losses. I know that one wild card game against Green Bay where you played back-to-back weeks, and that was the Favre rolling out. I think it was in '93. And he threw to Shannon Sharp in the end zone. That was in the Pontiac, Silverdome. I actually cried on the phone to go, oh, wow, jeez. Hey, I feel you, Vic. I would have probably done the same thing. I grew up hating Sundays with Joe Montana. Yeah. Brian Sipe through the interception. Been there. Oh. That is a brutal loss. Oh, my God. I hated Brett Favre so much as a kid. Yeah. That's right, Vic. Yep. 100%. I need to live videos on American League East. I'd like you to check out when you have a Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Ray, no problem. Yes. Yeah, Don Cockcroft. The straight-on kicker. Yes, he was. I know, I said Glenn. I don't know why I thought Glenn. Yeah, Vic. There was nothing like the dog pound in Cleveland those days. No, there wasn't. Is what's it called still alive? John Thompson? And I'm not talking about the Georgetown coach, the big. No, I think he passed away, if I'm not mistaken. Vic, can you confirm that? Big dog. Thompson. Yeah, because he was the one guy that was always 2024. Yeah, because he was the one guy that was indicative of the dog pound. I think he used to wear number 98, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is from 2024. I don't know if he's still with us. I mean, I hope he is, but. Oh, here we go. Notoriety. Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield. Remember those guys? I don't know if you can hear me now. Frank Dixon and Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield. Where's John Thompson? Hold on. Here it is. He had a legal name change to include his nickname. Oh, so he legally changed it to John Big Dog Thompson. Yep, number 98. Although recently undergone gastric bypass surgery, lost considerable weight. Bone Lady, Pumpkinhead, Macho fan. Yeah, I don't know if he's still alive. He's still alive. Yeah. Oh, this is 9 years ago now. I don't want to see that. Anyway, I know I'm like going off the beaten path here. Yeah, 2 years ago. Cleveland Magazine. This was 2005? Come on. Oh. Oh, it's 1999. All right, forget about it. All right, so that's enough of Big Dog Thompson. I meant to say 2 live videos. Yes, definitely, Ray. I will do that. I sat in the dog pound in 92 against the Chiefs, 0 degrees, nothing like the natural weather. Oh, yeah. And that's that Municipal Stadium seated, what, like 80 something thousand. Hey, Vic, if you're still with us, the one game that I remember in 93 when Pittsburgh played in Cleveland, and I believe at that time, you may have had a one-game lead on us in the division because the Steelers did win the division, and we won the final game of the year in Pittsburgh 16-9 against you guys. But Eric Metcalf had the 2 punt returns for touchdowns. Oh. Yeah, I'm sure you remember that. And it was in that old ballpark. I love the old ballpark. There's nothing like it. I know the new parks. I understand with 2026, but I think of the old football stadiums. Soldier Field before it was renovated. Three Rivers. RFK. Should I even say Shea Stadium when the Jets played there? And I went to one Jet game at Shea in 81, which was freezing. December, after I had my confirmation that year. I believe Belichick was your coach in 92. In fact, Belichick was the coach. That may have been his first year. Yeah, I know he coached in 94. They went to the playoffs. They beat New England, and then they lost to Pittsburgh in the divisional round. And then the following year, when did Belichick go there? He may have gone there in 91. That's good, Ray. Now I'm curious. Tenure in Cleveland. 91 to 95. Yes, it was. Ray is on it. Yeah, because after the Giants, when Parcells, after they won that Super Bowl 90-91 season, he retired, and then Belichick went to Cleveland, and that's when Ray Handley was the coach. Ugh, do I even need to bring that name up? I just did, but yeah, I said it once, I say it again. When I die 160, yeah, so I can let you down one last time. Oh, man. Well, hopefully you're around for a long time there, Vic. 100%. Want to talk about the Heartbreak Lions and everything. Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that game, that was another rough game. Dan Campbell goes for a field goal at the end of the first half and then decides to go for 2 fourth-down conversions where he couldn't kick field goals that could have changed the outcome of the game. Yeah, that was a disaster class coaching on Dan Campbell's part. Now, I understand going for the field goal at the end of the half. And remember, they had it right there. They were on he actually could have gone for a touchdown there, which at first I thought, go for it. I was like, nah, get a field goal, get out of there. And I think, did they get the ball coming out of the second half? Yeah, they went for it on a 4th and 5. Maybe it was like in the 20-something yard line. It was like a 44-yard field goal. Oh, man. Yeah, that would stick to me forever. Dave was the coach of the Jets for one day, and the rest of this. Yeah. Yeah, because after 95, when Cleveland went to Baltimore, he went back to the Jets, was defensive coordinator under Parcells, and then, was Jet coach for a day, and then he sent that fax. He says, I resign as HC of the NYJ. Oh, Bill Belichick. Ray, Bill was the coach of the Browns. They moved to be the Ravens. I believe that was in the late 90s. Yeah, it was coached 91 to 95, and then afterwards they left and went to Baltimore, and then he went back to the Jets after the 95 season. Yes. So the Browns went from 95. They didn't have a team from 96, 97, 98. 99 they came back. And I hate to bring this up too, and maybe he was there. Vic, were you there when the Browns had their home opener in 99 after the 3-year of not having the team? That was a Sunday night game. ESPN. Pittsburgh at Cleveland. And the final score as Vic is leaving us. All right, Vic, you too, man. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. But I hate to send you off on this note. Pittsburgh at Cleveland, 1999. Tim Couch, his first game. Remember him? Number 1 pick out of Kentucky. And everybody thought, we finally got a quarterback. Pittsburgh, 43. Cleveland, nothing. That was payback for 1989. Think about that. 10 years prior, Steeler fans recognize. When Cleveland went into Pittsburgh, Three Rivers, and what was the final score? Cleveland 51, Pittsburgh nothing. And the following week, Steelers went to Cincinnati and they lost 41-10. But they won a division, made the playoffs, and actually got to the divisional round before they lost to the Broncos. And they beat the Houston Oilers on New Year's Eve. Oh, never forget it. Yes, Vic. Salute. Oh, that'd be interesting to know if he was an Ohio State fan. I don't know if he's still around. What was this, a couple minutes ago? All right. Could tell Marte gambling at casino instead of rehabbing. Oh, yeah, no, that's and I haven't talked about that either. Yeah, come on. What was he doing? Yeah, and then he left the team. What was it, last week in Boston? And he did that last year. Yeah, I think he's seen his last days. And it's tough. He's a good player, very good player. But, yeah, I think his days in Arizona are coming to a close. Something really great happened when I turned 40. Sorry about your 49ers. Jay went on your 40th. Something great happened when you turned 40. Wait, did you turn 40 this year? What, because the Knicks won? That's got to be the Knicks. Watching the Browns come back in 99 was like watching SMU come back after the death penalty. Yeah, that's a good comparison. Edwin James ruined my birthday in 98. Oh, yeah, when they killed UCLA, that was in the Orange Bowl, was it not? I remember that. Yeah, how many touchdowns did he have in that game? Jeez. Yeah, let me see that. UCLA. There it, and it just came up 1998. 49-45. Yeah, you guys were undefeated. That's right. Edrin James, 299 yards. Yeah, I do remember that now. And December 5th, oh, yes, it was. You guys were 10-0, too. Jeez. I think no disrespect to the Browns, but I think what happened to the Bills in the 90s was worse. Yeah, when you make it to 4 straight Super Bowls and lose, I mean, that's yeah, it doesn't get any worse than that. At least I don't think. It does not. All right, I want to get to a couple other things here before I sign off. And I appreciate you guys as always, you know. I know I'm sounding like a broken record. Let me cut to this. Did you see this stat, people? And I was listening. Who was I listening to last night? Oh, no, it was Jeff Pearlman. Hold on a second. What is this? Wait, hold on, guys. Hold on. Ah, interesting. That's why I saw that thing pop up. I just want to make sure. Huh. Live cutting workforce amid uncertain future. That's going to be the end. Yeah, that's probably the beginning of the end. They're probably going to say, that's it, we're done. Fever Sky most watched regular season WNBA games since 97. Wow, average 3.31 million. Well, that's pretty good. But to go back, yeah, I don't know if you saw this stat here. And Jeff Pearlman, if you don't follow him on social media, I suggest you do. He's really good author. He wrote the Bad Guys. The Bad Guys won the 86 Mets. He did a book on Tupac Shakur. Used to write for Sports Illustrated back in the days. His channel is called Pressbox Chronicles. Not that he needs me to plug it, but yeah, he talks about a lot of his career. He talks about the good guys he interviewed. He even calls out the bad guys that he's interviewed. I think he's great. And he came out with a video a few days ago talking about how the NFL doesn't care about its players. And I loved it. Now, I haven't even commented on it yet. I liked it, but I haven't commented on it yet. And if you saw this recent study, between 2016 and 21, all the data that they've compiled, and of course, you can't detect CTE until that person is passed. And the number that you see there, I know this microphone is like really sticking out, right? I know. The number by what the research says, and even one of the physicians came out and said, yeah, and I think that number's low. So he says 25, that's being kind. It actually could be more than that. Where they took, I think it was like 573 different tests, and minimum 25% of those that came back had CTE. And this comes, of course, a couple of weeks before the start of the season. And we've talked about this before in the past. One of the reasons why I'm down in the NFL. And who knows what the NFL, they're not going to say anything. They're not going to do anything. I mean, they could care less. To them, it's all about printing money, getting the ratings, which they always get, doesn't matter. And I'll be fair. I understand it's not the NFL stance to talk about it. But for them to be silent on it, I mean, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, Roger Goodell's not going to answer this. And I don't know who their PR person is, the one who's going to have to, I guess, I don't want to use that term. The one who's going to have to, I'll just say, fight to be the mouthpiece for Goodell. Because these numbers are just going to keep coming out and out and out. And the NFL can't hide it. They can't. And they could cover it up by saying that, oh, these players know what they're signing up for. They know this, that. And that's why you see a lot of these players. What about the kid that just, the wide receiver? Jalen Polk? Yeah, I think his name was, from the LSU. Played 1 year. I'm out. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was because of his health or whatever, but you've seen a lot of these guys retire early. Patrick Willis and Chris Borland, the linebacker there from the Niners. What was he, 24, 25 years of age, retired? So there are some people that have gotten out. And who knows? But I just bring this up because we know the other networks and a lot, they're not going to talk about this. And just to hear that that's not even the number, like 25%, ooh, that's being kind, makes you think that it's probably close to half. I mean, when you're literally in a collision every play on the field, and that's repeatedly over and over, I mean, come on. I don't care unless you're a place kicker or the punter. Those guys, I mean, it's literally, they're going through a meat grinder. And the NFL doesn't want to say anything about this, or it's come out to say once and for all, listen, we're aware of it. And I understand they have the funds and for those medically, et cetera, but this sucker isn't going away anytime soon, unless the NFL becomes flag football. But, yeah, I just had to bring that up. And then you got this disaster. I'm sure you saw Daquan Wright and the other player that played under Lane Kiffin last year. And I got news for you. Everybody in college football is targeting LSU. They want LSU to go 0-12 this year. And how could you like Lane Kiffin? I mean, you cannot. He's a snake in the grass. And we know college sports. We don't have to get into all that. But to think that the Big Ten is barring players, and SEC I know wants to follow suit too. I don't know if they have, and go for the Big Ten. But for the two guys that are going back, and one, Daquan Wright was in the Cleveland Brown camp, and he decided, well, I'm going to go back to college. Oh, I'm going to go back to where my old coach was. No, obviously not at Ole Miss, but at LSU. And I think even the NFL, what did I see? Not NFL, NBA. What was the headline? And WNBA, I think they've also have joined in on saying, we don't want any of those players to come back to college. Well, let me see if I can find that headline. Hold on. Come on. No, that's not it. Hold on. No, I can't seem to find it. Yeah, I don't see it. Anyway. All right. What was that? Yeah, but if they don't want to have the conferences don't want to have NFL players going back, and I think the NBA same deal. Like they don't want their players going back to college. I know what's his name, the one kid that played at he played at St. John's, R.J. Lewis. I saw he's gonna end up going back. I forgot where he's going though. Hold on, let me look that up. R.J. Lewis. Oh, funny enough, yeah. He's going to play for LSU. Did Lane Kiffin get into the ear of the LSU head coach to be like, hey, see if we can bring some guys back? Yeah, Will Wade's who it was. I was trying to think of who the head coach was. I know it wasn't Dale Brown of yesteryear, that's for sure. But Tampa's up 2-0 on Detroit right now for J-Rod. But yeah, no, it's a joke. And I know I haven't really like vociferously come out and said this, but I mean, come on. For college to even allow this, and college shouldn't allow this. It's like, no, you're out. That's it. And I get it, but the way the world is with the agents and you can have 50 agents. It doesn't matter. You can still go back to college. They got to do something. To me, it's an abomination. I hate it. Comments. J-Rod. 98 Ohio State held Michigan to, I believe, 4 rushing yards on the whole game. Ooh. 4 yards. Yeah, that's not good. Fishing Angel, yes. Great day to you. And I will do that. Yes, absolutely. And always for the kind words. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much appreciate you. Got to go to work. Hopefully work isn't too crazy for you. Are you sitting in your living room? What happened to your desk today? I meant to ask you that. Yeah, no, I'm actually sitting. Yes, it looks like I'm in. I have like the spotlight on me. Yeah, I'm actually in the living room today. Tomorrow, I'll be back at the sports desk for the latest edition of the podcast. Brandon Ayuk. Now, we don't know that for sure, Val. I mean, you would think based on his behavior, and obviously we won't know until he passes, but yeah, Lane Kiffin is ruthless. I agree. Not a fan. Uh-oh, what is this? So just say preseason workout list first step explosive. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna have to look that up. Thank you for that, Waffle Iron. I will Jason Tatum. Hold up a second. All right. Workout. Off-season workout. Yeah, I'll look this up. I'll watch this later if I can find this. Or if you can, send it to me, Waffle Iron. Oh, this footage of Jason Tatum's workout has Celtic fans. All right, I'll watch this. Oh, maybe it's the boxing. I know Joe Mazzola. I forgot about it. This guy looks like he's getting ready to fight MMA or something. The head coach. Good for Big Ten betting NFL players. Yes, agreed. Celtics supposed to be a 4 seed next year. That's probably where they're going to be at. 4 or 5. 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 4 or Yeah, I'd see that. I'd say that. Bio. John Cooper's second win versus Michigan, 13 tries. Oh yeah, John Cooper. 2-10-1, not good. In fact, that's putrid. You ever try to make a little run? Nah. Listen, what's their record right now? I think they're what, 59-71, maybe. I don't know. Let me see. I'm sure. Like Jerry Rose, how do not know their record? I mean, would you watch that team too? Oh, 60-72. That's what that record was. All right. The only way, and let me think, where's the, who's got the top spot there? San Diego? What's San Diego's record? Yeah, 10.5 games behind the Padres. In order for the Mets to make the playoffs, ready for this? They would have to go. Get ready. 28-2. And that's minimum. That's 88-74. Not happening. Listen, if they get to 500, I'd be shocked. And to get to 500, that means they got to go 21-9. That ain't happening. And what was their over-under win total? I think it was 89.5. Speaking of over-unders, let's see where I am with baseball. Yeah, I was going to save this for the podcast. What the hell? I'll do it now. Over-unders. You know, this Red Sox 87.5, that may pull through. It may pull through. Which I would hope. What the hell is this? Oh. Wait, what did I just do? Oh, here we go. Sorry, guys. I was just pulling up all these different pages here. All right. Red Sox at 73. I think they're going to get there. They're going to get to 88. Why not? If they go 500 the rest of the way, 15-15, that's it. I got it. And they were, I got lucky there. Detroit, forget about it, 85.5. Not happening. That's a loss. Miami, 72.5, as you know. That's 67. All I need is 6 more wins. Can I get 6 wins out of the last 30? You never know. But right there's 2-1. San Francisco, 3-1, 89.5, as we know. Houston, 86.5. And what are they at, 65 right now? 66. 66-66. That's what? They have 30 games left. They got to go 21-9. That's not happening. And Colorado, they already passed that, right? 54.5. That 51. Yeah, they're going to pass that. So I'm actually going to go. I may go 4-2. May go 4-2. Which, I'd rather go 5-1, 6-0. But 4-2, not bad. At least for now. Can I share one quick story? You'll get a kick out of this. I'll get to the next comment in a second. Let's get this out of here. When I was doing a show with JD many years ago, and we picked over unders, he picked Colorado as an over one year. It may have been 2011. I have to go back and look. And I think their number was 73.5, if I'm not mistaken. And would you know that 73.5, so obviously if he picked the over 74, would you know that the Rockies lost their last 7 games of the year and they ended at 73 wins? That you can't make up. If I pull that up real quick, Colorado Rockies. I know you're like, Jay Reels, we don't care. But I just thought it's funny because that's why I look at the Marlins like, hey, 6 more wins. Watch them go 5-25 the rest of the way. And there goes my shot. Here we go. Yeah, there was 73 and 89. Hold on a second. Let me see what year. Let's go back. 2011. Oh, right on the nose, J Reels. 73 and 89. That was it, 2011. And they lost their last 7 games. If I pull up their schedule right now, watch this. Does it have all the games here? All the outcomes? It doesn't. All right. I won't get crazy about it, but that was the year that they fell apart. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, and I'll get to one more thing, and then I'll sign off. Ties in football was stupid. I know. And you still get them. That's the thing. I know, it's weird. I feel the same way about that bio, but the thing is that you could win a division at 11-5-1, and as long as the other team, if you have the same amount of wins, you're going to win the division, which is weird. I hate that, but I get it. They're not going to play more than a quarter. That's how it is. 4 ties. Oh, that's ugly. Yeah, with you on that. No, he's laid low, Val. Yeah, he hasn't really said much lately. Oh, I couldn't tell you. Obviously, he's not in camp. I mean, if I look up Brandon Ayuk, hold on. Is he even on the roster? Let's take a quick look at that. Niners. I mean, he got that big payday. Unless he's getting paid without leave. Here we go. He's not even on the depth. He's not even on the team. When did he get cut? I did not know that. What's this? Anyone heard from Vlad? Yeah, you know, it's a good question there, J-Rod. I have not heard from Vlad. I think he did send me something a couple weeks ago, but I got to follow up. I mean, I hope everything's all right with his mom. And Brent, I got to reach out to him for sure. Thanks for that, J-Rod. As a matter of fact, I'm going to type that in my note right now to reach out to them. Oh, did he really? Oh, geez. I mean, they just had an article about him the other day. They just had an article about Tim Curry the other day. Did you hear about this? This is what happens when you do a live show. Tim Curry died. My wife's got headphones on. Tim Curry, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Damn, I just read something about it. Talking about his brilliance and all that. Yeah, we know about Dolly Parton yesterday. Terrible, terrible story. Uh-oh. Jay, I got your text. All right, yeah, J-Rod, I saw your text. I got you, definitely. Is that right? No, I definitely got to do that. I'll hit him up for sure. But yeah, I just want to make a note. Yeah, I saw Tim Curry. Hold on a second. This is. Yeah, so I'll say I got Matt, Vlad, Brent, contact. All right. Oh, as I'm doing this live. Oh, we have some dirt here from. I haven't seen them around in our comments. Just wondering. Hope it was. Yeah, I'll reach out to them, Jay. Absolutely, I will do that, and I appreciate you informing me on that. He did get cut, right? After all this foolishness. Yeah, I didn't know he got cut either. Here we go. Thoughts on CD dating Von's ex-fiance? I didn't know that, but we've seen a lot of that recently. I mean, think about this. Wasn't Cody Bellinger, his wife, used to go out with Giancarlo Stanton prior to Cody Bellinger getting married to his current wife? Then you have Tyler Hero, he's like, I guess with this model or yeah, I don't know what she. I guess she's like a fitness model or something. And Tyler Hero, she used to date Kyle Kuzma, and now Kuzma and Hero are teammates. So you got that, and I didn't realize CeeDee Lamb and who was Von Miller's ex fiance? Now I got to see this. Who is Von Miller's? Yeah, that'd be weird. Megan Denise. Yeah, so this isn't a first. Has been recently linked to. I mean, that's weird. I don't know. I mean, but yeah, but look at the Tyler Hero and Cody Bellinger. Same situation. Interesting. They share multiple children together. Is a social media personality model, licensed medical I can't wait. Aestheticist. Oh, my tongue is tied today. Aesthetician. Ay, ay, ay. Wake up, J. Rose. Megan Denise. Yeah, I don't even know who she is. Is that her right there? And how did they get together? What is her on Instagram? Hello? It's not working? All right. Now we get an idea. Yeah, I didn't know that. The novice. All right. So that's her. Okay. Taking shots. You got a thing of Kobe up here. All right. So there you go. Nah, yeah. Thoughts about that? Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're Von Miller, how do you approach that? I find it a little weird, but I mean, now how long were they going out before? Like, did they just start dating? And did he know CD Land that was? I'm sure he had to, right? I mean, it was before, no worries, kind of last minute. Anyway, no big deal, sir. No, but I appreciate you, Jay. I know what you're trying to do there, so no, I appreciate that. CD, yes, he is. Val, very good. Ray, you'd be correct on that Cody Bellinger information. Yeah, I don't even know Cody Bellinger's wife. Here I am now. I'm starting. Ooh, sorry about that. Here I am now being TMZ over here. Like I could care less, but I don't know. Since you guys bring it up, Chase Carter Bellinger. All right. Caden and Cy got two kids. Got C's all around. Cody, Chase, Caden, and Cy. All right. Good for them. An MMA female 561 odds is upset a match on Dynamite's card. Oh, when is that? Is that Saturday? Yeah, TMZ. I know. Yeah, J Rod. You too, J Rod. Have a great day. Go sports. Much appreciate you stopping by as always. You know that. And I'll follow up. Yeah, I didn't know about that bio. Yeah, let me know who that is. I'll be curious. Keep an eye on that. All right, one last thing I want to get to. Of course, tomorrow the podcast, catch you up on the pennant races. And last of the NFL preseason. See what else to talk about. There's not really much else that's going on. I know you got college football this weekend, but is anybody geeked up over TCU and North Carolina? I'm not. You guys know where I stand with this. I only bring this up because I've had people get at me I put up a short here based on the podcast Monday talking about Enes Kanter. And one guy came out and said that, hey, well, Natasha Cloud shouldn't have been engaging with him, which, you know, he's right about that because you gotta block it out. But we know how, at least my feeling, Kanter, he's just looking for an opportunity to make himself relevant again. And right, you don't see anybody else. You don't see Iman Shumpert or Amari Stoudemire or Steph Curry wearing, a woman's t-shirt on a sideline doing what Enes Kanter did. But yeah, Adam Silver has to step in. Adam Silver, now he's going to have to come in there and fight the battles for Engelbert, and which obviously would be the beginning of the end, and maybe that's the reason why he hasn't done that, and they're going to wait till after the season. But yeah, it's just a disaster. I mean, how could you continue to let this go on? Whether it's, I talked about the sex toys or whatever. I mean, Kathy Engelbert should be, hey, listen, come on, guys. And I understand you can't control what fans bring into the arena. I mean, where do they have it? I'm sure they check bags. So maybe they check a bag and they see something like that, they should confiscate it. I understand that's a bit weird, but listen, they just need to revamp, either get a new PR department to handle this, similar to the NFL, if they're not going to have Roger Goodell come out and say anything about the CTE stuff. So where you have somebody from PR that could be that spokesperson for the league and to come out and say those things. Or Adam Silver, obviously, if you're not going to speak to anybody, get your own PR and let's clear this up. End of story. So, Frank Mir daughter. Frank Mir. So, that's the Frank Mir's daughter is the one that's fighting? Oh, here we go. Bella Mir, daughter of MMA legend Frank Mir, suffers historic upset as sixth contender series. The much valued daughter of, I've never even heard of Bella Mir, yeah. Frank Mir, I'm not really familiar with him either. You know me, I'm not MMA savvy with everybody, and he's a legend. The daughter, I definitely don't know. And the father, look at that. Alex Wood, you had a face tonight. Dana White. Blah, blah, blah. Wow. Alex Apodaca defeats Bellamere with unanimous decision to pull off one of the biggest upsets. Wow. No, I did not know about this. All right. Interesting. Now that I think about it, when is the next UFC? Because I know in September you got a few of those. Oh, this Saturday. Oh, I know I'm terrible with names. Nurmagomedov. I know. You know me, guys, with these names. Nurmagomedov. Say that 5 times. Yeah, so he's fighting at. Wow, in China. So the fight is at 6 a.m. Eastern time. I will not be up for that. That's for sure. Nurmagomedov. I got to say that like 5 times. And he's fighting Sang Nadang. Yadong. 23-9-1 with 1 no contest, Yadong, and then Nurmagomedov 20-1. I mean, that guy's a beast. Yeah, that'd be an upset, I guess, if the Yadong beats one more time Nurmagomedov. I'm still probably butchering it, so. Oh, so you got that fight. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow because I know how good it is. But all right, my good people. I think before Brock Lesnar. Oh, he did. I did not know that. All right. All right, my good people. I think that'll do it. Unless you got something else you want to bring up, something else you got to say. You already know tomorrow, 11 a.m. Next podcast coming at you. Yeah, baseball, some NFL, pretty much some of the things I discussed. Open it up to whatever. Steelers latest out, YouTube channel. Check that out. I got to start plugging that. I know I haven't plugged that. That's my bad. I've been terrible with that. Talking about the Steelers. And I've had some good content this week. Talking about Joey Porter with his impasse at the team. I talked about who has room to improve, more to prove, lot to lose, all that type of stuff as I bring up a lot of the Steelers stuff. And yeah, once we get past this week and into next week, and we got the U.S. Open, and then football will be on the horizon, then it'll be on and popping. Right now, we're still going through that back end of this whole stretch of, I don't want to say nothingness, but the second sports dead zone of the year. But obviously, once we get to September, and of course, we get into a week from tomorrow, right before the start of the college football season, then things will start percolating, and then we'll be off and running. So, but yeah, that'll do it, my good people. As always, much appreciate your support. Much appreciate you stopping by, carving out precious time out of your day to listen to what it is I have to say about what goes on in the Toy Department of Life Called Sports. And as you already know, in the blood, in the DNA, talking sports since birth. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Always coming correct, directed, in full effect. You know me, as long as I sit in front of this microphone and camera, I promise I'll deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury, my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens on the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from wherever, wherever you are, the J-Reels live stream always comes live, correct, directed, in full effect. I got you, Bio. For the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond, peace, love, and God bless. Enjoy the rest of your hump day. Hopefully, I'll see you all tomorrow, same bat time. Well, not same, because that's 11 a.m., not 12 p.m. 11 a.m. tomorrow, Eastern time. Hope to see you then. And until next time, on the flip, baby. And yes, Bio, you too. Have a great sports day, everyone. Great sports to the novice, Val. I know Jay and Fishing Angel have left. Waffle Iron, if you're still around. I know Vic. Everybody else, I appreciate you all. You know that. Until then, on the flip.